everyone, and I'm back from my week off at Rebecca Farms, and I'm here for week 5 with my ride with Ellie. And when I came home from Rebecca, I was thoroughly surprised with how calm and quiet she was. It was like she had never had any days off, and I was really happy with her work ethic and how she focused. But I did feel that all 4 rides I had prior to this one that you're watching were just a little bit too quiet. Like, she wasn't working quite hard enough for me. It felt like the parking brake was on. Like if you're driving a car and suddenly you should be going forward, but you're not quite going forward. And so I decided that today I was going to increase my expectations of her and start riding her a little bit more like a big horse and less like a baby horse. My trainer in North Carolina, Bobby Costello, used to always tell me that I was too nice to my horses. And while I do think that being really nice and patient and calm with your horses is generally the right way to be, he is right. I mean, those are words of wisdom, that once in a while you do need to have higher expectations of your horses so that they can actually learn something and step up to the next level. And I'm not talking about increasing her workload to the point where we get in a fight, or I lose my temper, or she gets frustrated to the point where she can't learn something. That would be very non-productive. But I am going to increase my bit pressure in her mouth, and I'm going to start to add, or expect my leg to come forward into more of a containing hand and less of a very soft, lenient hand. And I feel like she's ready for this. So what you're watching here now is her kind of fluctuating and coming, going, and being happy and less happy with this new pressure. You can see that my hands are about 6 inches wider than they normally are because I'm trying to triangulate my pressure and stay with her while she goes through her little emotional gymnastics. And the most important thing is that the rider never loses their temper. This isn't about me winning or her winning or something like that. It's much more basic. This is a classroom, and I'm expecting her to learn something new today. And anger or temper just has nothing to do with that. So here she's starting to actually relax a little bit and starting to get more steady in her headset. And this shows that she's not afraid of my hand, but she is starting to accept that the pressure is a little more consistent and that she's going to be okay if she stays with me. So once I ask for the canter, you can see that she's clearly up and down and not going forward. And that's what I mean by feeling like your parking brake is on. She's going through the movements of the canter, but she's actually not traveling forward into a receiving hand. And when she puts her head up like that, you definitely know she's behind my leg. But as I continue on, I'm just trying to increase my leg pressure with her, and she does get better and finds a little bit more rhythm and drops her head and starts to flow over her top line better and better as this ride goes along. She has an incredibly comfortable canter, and I think that's a common trait of thoroughbreds. This is their best gait. This is what they're bred to do, this canter. And I love it. She has a great canter. So those of you that have been paying attention, you just watched Ellie's very first left lead canter depart with no mistakes. So right off the bat, I'm actually pretty happy.
Really nice.
But that does tell me that my increased pressure on her, the little more of a containing hand and a little increased leg pressure, insisting that she stays straight, has actually improved her. And she's not messing around and kind of making mistakes like she was before with picking up the right lead. She actually stayed straighter and initiated the left lead beautifully. So like most thoroughbreds, usually you have a better trot after you have cantered. And if you go back to the beginning of this video, she's a little bit herky-jerky with her trot movements in her knees and her joints. And here, after the canter, she's actually much more fluid and more steady in the bridle. So the canter has improved her and my relationship with with the bit. She right now is a little bit on the quick side, and I'm slowly going to start addressing that and just ask her to slow the tempo down without causing a huge change. One thing I believe that is hard for horses is when we ask for them to be round and in a dressage frame, we limit their horse's eyesight quite a bit. And if you remember from the very first video, I pointed out that this mare is an extremely visual mare. And now that she is more submissive to what I'm asking her, she goes through moments where she's can't believe that she's looking down at the ground, and so she flings her head up to take a look at what's outside and just double check that she's okay. And for a horse whose eyesight is extremely important to her, this is all right. I'm not going to immediately ask for her to go round and increase the pressure and demand it. That would be asking her to not trust me. So I'm just going to let her pick her head up, and she calmly sees that she's still all right and that she can trust me, and the trot does get better and better as we go along. So I'm pretty happy with how our new day went. So I feel the take-home message is actually pretty clear after today's ride. She was improved when I asked more from her. And a friend once told me that you can't expect brilliance if you don't ask for it. The horses don't always just offer everything that they possibly can. You have to ask them for it, and ask them for it nicely, and hopefully in a way that they can understand, perform it, and live up to your expectations. So I am super happy with the steps that she has taken today, and look forward to kind of new and better things next week. Thanks. See you next week.